All right. So, like I said, we've been building up to this whole thing. Like, they've already announced that this is supposed to be our new Superman, whether we like it or not. But they've been kind of building up to the whole thing of, like, Superman, the actual one, leaving the planet and having to go and deal with something else, the whole war world shit that we saw in, like, Future State and all of that. So we've been kind of progressing towards that, and they've been trying to make it seem like they're just easing us into, like, Jon Kent or whatever. But I mean, that's kind of what we're doing here. Where we start out the issue with Superman and Superman, I guess, I don't, whatever. So they show up to save this building together, and Clark is the one holding up. Dad Superman is holding up the building, while Son Superman is the one who goes in to like save everybody and shit. So he kind of like scans, and then we get this nice little like montage where he's flying from room to room, saving them and their pets and everything. So he does all of that, and then once he has everyone out, they're trying to figure out like what's going on. Justice League Alert said this was a hyper localized seismic event. It could be an attack, and so Son Superman looks over and he's like there, and he sees her. Where she just kind of looks like she's either hurt or confused, just dazed. But apparently the problem started with her. So they both go over, and Dad Superman like tries to grab her and like calm her down and say like, what's your connection to this? So because she's saying like, get away from me, he says, I can't do that, I'm sorry. So she's like, please, and he says, we just need to. But then all of a sudden she just rocks the shit out of him, and he like goes taking like a nosedive and everything. So we see that, and then like Son Superman comes up and says, hey. So she's like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. He says, you're sorry? Aren't you a supervillain? And she says, I don't know. He's like, well, you're dressed like a supervillain. And yeah, he's kind of right. Historically, villains were always colored using, the secondary colors, green and purple and shit like that. It was the heroes who always had, the primary colors, the red, blue. Well, those aren't the actual primary colors. The actual primary colors are the colors I tend to use for my channel: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. So anyway, he's saying like another one, and then she kind of like calms down, I guess, just enough for them to, help her kind of. So Son Superman turns over to Dad Superman and says, are you okay? He says, I'll be fine. We have to get her off the ground. A single step could result in devastation. Her body density is off the charts, says Son Superman. It's like she's bonded to a fraction of a neutron star. But Dad Superman says that's certainly what it felt like when she hit me. And then as they're flying away, Dad Superman says, we should probably try and keep this conversation from her, so let's talk in like an inaudible type of range or whatever, or at least where they can't hear us. So they do that, and then they take her over to Star Labs, obviously. So they put her in like this weightless environment to try and study like what it is that's actually going on with her. And they're kind of telling the scientists or whatever, I assume Fault Line's power can be disabled or controlled somehow, given how and where she was found. And Son Superman says, yeah, she's a walking earthquake, and there was a conspicuous lack of a trail of destruction. She's not the first weaponized post-human with memory loss I've encountered. There was a man on fire a few days ago. This could be the start of some, but all of a sudden he gets like a message or whatever, so he's like, oh, sorry, I have to leave. I got something else I gotta do. I'm sorry. I know I was literally right in the middle of an explanation, but I have to go right stat now. So he takes off, and then he says, a friend is calling. So of course it's this one who's. Some people are assuming he's going to be like the boyfriend because this Superman has been confirmed to be gay. So apparently, the kid with the pink hair has to be like the potential future boyfriend. I don't actually know if that's where it's going because he keeps like calling him a friend. But I guess this is going to be like their attempt to do that thing, like try and make it seem like, yes, when guys are friends, that means that they're going to be gay together. And, that's going to help us retroactively with the Tim Drake thing. Yes, I am still bothered by that shit. Because I'm so tired of this being a thing. Like, everybody's just like, oh, well, yeah, if guys are friends, if they're, like, really, really friends, that means they're going to be gay together. So, just letting you know now, guys, never get too close to your friends, apparently. Anyway, so he's saying, you came, and he asks him, what's happening, Jay? But he says, it's the refugees you rescued. The Gamoran president demanded them back. Our government agreed to their return. The Truth reported it an hour ago. People started gathering to protest. Police showed up soon after. They're arresting them. So they're over here like, let her go and all this shit. Which, I mean, if they're not U.S. citizens and their government wants them back, and our government says, all right, fine, you can have them, I mean, that's literally just how it goes. I mean, them's the rules y'all want when you have governments and shit. Like, y'all always think it's a good thing until it's not doing what you want it to. But anyway, so they're doing that whole thing, and then son Superman comes up and stuff like, "What are you doing?" and everything. And then the cop says, "These people are gathering illegally." So he's like, "Yeah, well, I'm gathering with them." And then he does this where he links arms with them, and they're coming up like, "Yo, you don't want to do this," because he says, "If you're arresting these people for standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves, then I guess you're arresting me too." And they're like, "We can't." He says, "Why not?" So the cop is like, "Well, I mean, he says, "I know who I am. Do your job." So they're like, "All right." And they do this like performative thing where they put cuffs on him as if that was actually going to do anything. If he sneezes, he'll probably bust the bitches, but all right. Anyway, the reporters come up and say, Jon Kent, Cat Grant, Daily Planet. Why are you doing this? What are you hoping to achieve? And then he has to give us this little diatribe where he says, Superman was a refugee. My grandparents put their only child in a ship and sent him on a dangerous voyage. My father crossed an ocean of stars, and he found a new home here, on this world, in this country. He found sanctuary. I mean, sort of. He came here as an alien. Like, he fell into a cornfield from a different planet. That's not really the same as coming from a different country. And even if they wanted to send him back, as we mentioned, the planet blew up. So where were they going to send him? You know what I mean? Not only that, they didn't even know that he was like a thing, that he was an alien until he was grown, till he was Superman. I mean, yeah, there were like some of the Superboy stories or whatever, but I don't even know how much of that is still canon anymore. So that's what I'm saying. Like, at best, you have to go off of the fact that he didn't start acting as Superman until he became an adult. And then at some point later on, that's when they realized like, oh, or they found out like, oh, this guy's an alien. He's not actually human or whatever. And then there was that whole like weird period. Who was it that wrote it? I can't remember who wrote it, but when Superman like renounced his American citizenship, there's been all kinds of dumb shit like that. So when I read this, I was like, we're doing it again. We're doing it again. Just because it's been done before in some other fashion doesn't mean that it's actually interesting. Doesn't mean it's actually good storytelling. Like, this is just annoying. Like, he's just acting soft here. You know what I mean? Like, SAWFT. Soft. Anyway, so he's saying, like, he found sanctuary. That's all I want for the Gamoran refugees. And then Kat's asking him, like, President Bendix insists they're not refugees. He says the nation of Gamora is a paradise for its citizens. So he says, well, I rescued President Bendix's citizens as their boat was sinking. They left everything behind and risked everything to escape his paradise. I don't know if that's shots fired at Cuba, because that's kind of the type of thing that, you know, the Cuban government is always like, oh no, it's great for our citizens over here. They don't want, they're fine with where they're at, despite the fact they're always trying to like cross shark-infested waters and shit. Anyway, so he says, I think it's time we look closer at Henry Bendix and questioned his claims. No one sends their child on a perilous voyage unless it's more dangerous to stay behind. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't really know about that, but okay, if that's what you want to go with. Anyway, so he goes over to jail, and of course his dad comes and he's like, all right, it's time for us to go or whatever. So he comes out and he asks, like, what about the others who were arrested? If I'm only getting out because I have a famous father, but he says it's okay. Dad Superman says they're being released too. There's been quite the public outcry. You made sure the whole world was paying attention. And son Superman says, I had a hard time, Dad. Dad Superman says, you were in there for 45 minutes. Son Superman says, 45 minutes of hard time. So that's where we see the friend. I still can't remember his name. Jay. There you go. So Jay came because apparently he was also going to try and spring Jon from the clink. But of course, Superman beat him to it. So he says, you know, hello, Jay, thanks for trying to bail my son out of jail. He's like, anytime. He's like, wait, I mean, not that I think he'll be arrested a lot. So Dad Superman tells him, it's not outside the realms. His mother has been arrested a whole lot. We have a dinner to go to in Smallville, but would you care to join us? So son Superman says, Dad, he probably doesn't want to. And Dad Superman says, we could give you a lift. And he's like, a lift? You mean? And then he just kind of gives him a smile because, yeah. He was going to carry him, and oh my god, isn't this so gay? Like, I'm surprised they're not kissing while they're flying. Like, I can't wait until someone's like, oh my god, look how cute they were. You queens. Anyway, so they show up to the house, and then Dad Superman says, everyone, this is Jay. He's a friend of Jon's. And you'll notice when he said friend, it's not in quotations. They didn't stress it or anything, but I guarantee you at some point someone's going to say some shit. Anyway. So Lois comes up and is like, hi, Jay, I'm Lois. And he just kind of stands there and he doesn't say anything or do anything. And then Son Superman is like, he could speak when we left Metropolis. And then he like goes up to him and whispers like, "You cool?" And he tells him, "You didn't tell me Lois Lane was going to be here." And he's like, "She's my mom." So he says, "I fully realize that now." And then he goes up to like introduce himself. He's like, "I'm sorry, I have your picture on my wall. Not in a weird way. You're just like my hero." And then of course, being the spaz that he is, he fucking trips over a pebble. Like, you can trip over a rock, but like not like that. Like he hits it with his foot, and apparently it's either like a huge boulder that's buried in the ground, or he's just that light that he tripped over a rock that probably doesn't even weigh a pound. Like I said, you can trip over if like you step on it, like, and your foot goes wrong or whatever. You can like twist your ankle and fall. But that's not what happened here. They very clearly did the cartoon thing of, oh look, he tripped over this little rock. Okay. So being embarrassed, he just like stumbles away. He's like, oh God. And then Son Superman follows him. He's like, hold on. And then he goes and finds him. He's like, what was that? And he says, this is a farm, right? I assume there's a barn I can hide in, maybe a shovel that I can use to bury myself. So he says, usually people are more intimidated by meeting my dad. I mean, he says, I'm a journalist, and Clark Kent is good, but Lois Lane, I mean, she has Pulitzers. She single-handedly brought down some of the most corrupt people on the planet. She linked Lex Luthor to Intergang. So Son Superman says, this is all true. Would you like to try to meet her again? So they come back in to do just that. But apparently this exact moment, like, they didn't even do the dinner. They were supposed to be coming to dinner, and it looks like they're just going to skip that part because they're all looking grim. And then Jay is like, what's happening? To which Dad Superman says, John. And apparently, like, literally right this minute is when he's leaving. So they're, like, up on the roof and everything, and Son Superman is trying to say, like, no, not yet. It can't be happening, not yet. Like, I know the future. Like, this is where your story ends or whatever. So, but first, Dad Superman tells him, like, I want you to promise me you won't come looking for me. So Son Superman laughs and says, I'm absolutely not promising that. Dad Superman tries to like talk him out of it, but he's like, if the roles were reversed, would you come find me? And of course, Dad Superman stops for a second. He's like, if you were missing, I'd search to the ends of the universe. And he's like, Dad, I've been to the future. I've read Earth's history. This is where your story ends. Please don't go. And he says, if the future is locked, if destiny is impossible to escape from, then what's the point of fighting of standing for something better? You know, growing up, I used to sit on this roof most nights. I'd look up and imagine what could be out there. And I could never imagine anything as remarkable as you. I don't believe in fate. I do believe in Jon Kent. So he says 472 people, Son Superman interjects, and their pets. He says, and their pets are alive because of you. And it's not just the people you saved. Your actions created ripples. Families and friends were saved from a lifetime of grieving. Lives will be lived. You already changed the future today. So then, like I said, this is where he gets up and he's like, I have to go now, John. And he's just like, no, wait, you can't leave yet. And he like follows him into space, like crying and shit, because he's saying like, there are people here who need you too. And then he says, no, people need Superman. And that's you now. I'm the man of tomorrow. You're for the days after. Goofy. That's just a corny line. I know that was supposed to seem like inspiring or whatever, playing on like the Man of Tomorrow thing, but that was just goofy. Anyway, so he goes back, and then that's the other thing. Like, he flew up into space. Well, not really. I guess they're just kind of like, no, yeah, they are up in space. That's just confusing. Like, why did you fly up into space just to fly back down? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, he comes back so he can talk to Lois one more time as Son Superman stays there with his grandparents. And his grandma's basically, because he asks her, like, you're not worried? She says, he's my son. I'm always worried. But I stopped doubting a long time ago. Now come back inside and make things a little less awkward for Jay. So that's where Lois is telling Dad Superman, he'll be okay, Clark. And he says, I know, he'll have you. So that's where we get this part, where Henry Bendix is apparently plotting something because they've been tracking Superman. And the minute that he's, like, gone from Earth's orbit or whatever, and, like, they can't detect him anymore, they say, or he says, we've retrieved our girl. She says, she's already in the air, Mr. Bendix. Density activation is now in your control. So he says, tell them to go. So this is where the pilots are like, all right, we have the go order. Drop the bitch. So they just like kick her out the damn thing. And she goes falling. He's like, all right, now let's go ahead and activate her. Let's take Jonathan Kent's world from him. So then we get the closing internal monologue from Jon Kent, where he says, my father is my hero, but he's gone away. He has a fight beyond our world, people who need him. my hero isn't here to save us. So that's where she like impacts with the damn like farmhouse, and as you can see, it appears to have just blown it the hell up. So I mean, I'm pretty sure that he either like rescued them in time, or they weren't even there anymore, like they just somehow knew to like leave or something. So I don't really know. Obviously, we're gonna have to find out on the next issue what happened with that. But like I said, I'm almost 100% certain that they're all fine. Like, if anybody's still there, it's probably Sun Superman. But we'll find out. I guess maybe we'll see what happens in like the next issue. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for my review on this. I really don't have very many thoughts because, like I said, this seems pointless to me. I have heard it maybe mentioned that possibly one of the reasons they're doing this is so that way they can continue sticking it to like the estates of Siegel and Schuster by coming up with a character who is still technically Superman, but it's not Clark Kent. So that way, if they keep using this, well, yeah, they'll still have to pay them something, a pittance, but it'll be even less because they're not using the character that Siegel and Schuster came up with. So it does seem plausible to me. If that's actually the case, I don't actually know, but hey, money talks and bullshit walks, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, if they can if they can work out some sort of workaround so that way they can pay them even less for like the property that they're using, I guarantee you companies always do that. So that's probably what they may be doing. Again, I have no evidence to actually support that, but it wouldn't surprise me, not even in the slightest. So I think that's about all I have to say on this. So yeah, if you have read this, definitely let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then definitely make sure you like the video, make sure you're subscribed, and share the video if you would like. You know how much I appreciate that, because I mention it in all of my videos now. But yeah, if you're done here, then go and read a book. And if not, well then I'll see you on my next video.